Yo guys, JC here. How's it going? Today I remembered actually on my phone I had this thing where I can capture my screen, and I just remembered about it, and I'm like, okay, why not do something with it? I follow Promise on Facebook. She goes as Eve was framed, and she often appears on the line these days with Matt Dillahunty, etc. Um, Interesting person for sure. Always has lots of interesting things to say, and she's an atheist. This is the video actually. Well, I say video, but it's more kind of just that with some text. The text says, "So enjoying life post Christianity because now I don't have to defend a book full of God ordained slavery, genocide, rape, and child abuse." Not sure why some words are spelt this way, but I'm sure there is some kind of reason behind it, which I'm just not aware of. By the way, before I jump into the comments, I just want to quickly promote my music project. It's coming up soon, guys. Highly Electric Hyperion, but I'll post more about it when we get closer to the release date. At the moment, I still have to do like trailers and like once I start thinking about one thing, my mind starts to race and I'm thinking about something bigger and bigger and bigger. So I have a few things in my mind, just need to get them done. And that's going to take time though. But when I have more info, I'll share. As you can imagine, in the comment section, there's a lot of theists here, a lot of theists, and they are not happy. So this is what I posted. I love to post that one because it's one of those memes that are 100% accurate. And you'll see that in the comments, actually, in fact, because I don't post it for fun, okay? I rarely post things for fun. There's always some kind of purpose, usually, why I post certain things. And of course, there's a purpose for this as well. So, yeah, they cherry pick. I mean, that's what the picture is about. Christians love to cherry pick, but it's not just Christians, it's also Muslims and whatever like religion you need to cherry pick, it's gonna be cherry picked. So it's just like a lot of people ask me like, why do you pick on Christianity and not Islam and etc. But actually, I pick on all of them as long as they're like completely ridiculous and asinine. I will pick on all of them. But why Christianity in particular is because, well, in the US, like, 70% of, well, it's not really probably accurate, but about 70% of the population identifies as some kind of denomination of Christianity. And some of them are benign, sure, but, the hardcore people, these are the people who put Trump into power, and they want a kind of Christo-fascist agenda uh, put into place. So this is why I talk mostly about Christianity, but in reality, look, if you go through my posts, you'll find things against Islam, against I don't know, even like Buddhism or whatever. Like I posted so many things. It's been, look, I've run this page for like over 10 years, okay? So there's a lot of stuff here. It's just like you have to probably dig. It's it's quite kind of buried, So, but it's there. It's there. All right, so let's go through some comments, and I'll comment on top of on that. There's a lot here, so I'm not going to do all of them, of course, but let's just kind of keep going for a bit, and if I get tired, then we'll call it a day. So I'm not going to actually look into the replies because that's going to take forever. I'm just going to look into the kind of the comments, the main comment, and if you want, you can go to the profile and you can engage in the threads, in the specific threads, okay? But I'm just going to read the top comment. So here we have a Jim Moore, and he says, why all the abolitionists were Christians? I'm not sure actually that's true, But the other thing about that is, when was slavery abolished in the US? It was like in the second half of the 19th century, wasn't it? So what took them so fucking long? Like, if they were such good Christians, such good people, why did it take them so long? You know, that's kind of the obvious question there. And then he says, why 78% of the Nobel Peace Prize winners were Christians? Again, citation needed. But even if that's true, look, it's just a statistics game, really. There's a lot of Christians out there, a lot. And when we talk about like religions like Islam these days, well, they're just not there yet, you know? They always say like it's a young religion, blah, blah, blah. I don't really agree with that, because these days we have the internet, and you have all the tools needed on here to advance, you know, advance yourself, advance your civilization. If you don't do that, it's obviously a deliberate choice. It's by design, you know. So yeah, but look, all you need is right here. Stop watching stupid TikToks and whatnot, and educate yourself. But I don't know about this statistic, honestly. I'd have to check it. But again, it's just a statistic thing. Yeah, there's a lot of Christians out there, and I don't know. Um, Again, we live in a kind of Christian. That's what I was saying about the states, for example. Like, you know, 70%, about 70% of people identify as Christians. So if they nominate people for something, there's a kind of a high percentage, just of there's a high chance that it's they're gonna pick a Christian, you know. So that's basically it. I'd have to look specifically into the people and what they achieved, because I'm not too familiar with the Nobel Peace Prize winners. I know a few of them. I know that Arafat was one of them, and you know, he had no business being in there. Barack Obama was won the Nobel Peace Prize, but like, why really? When he was droning people, etc. So I don't really get it, but look, whatever. This is something maybe kind of semantics, you know. So this person says, and this is a very common one. None of the, so in that video, right, that we just showed, I just showed you, none of what you listed is Christian. JC said, I didn't say anything, but okay, no, I'm just kidding. Love thy neighbor, and encouraged that we follow the Ten Commandments. Not one of them encourages what you're claiming. Quite the contrary. That's just bullshit. That's just bullshit, guys. That's absolute horse shit. So, yeah, love thy neighbor is in the Bible, sure, but that's just one thing. That's cherry picking. That's why I posted that meme. It's cherry picking. Um, Follow the Ten Commandments. Well, look, guys, I posted about that maybe a month ago or something. It's true that the Ten Commandments are the top 10, but there's actually many more of them. If you read the book, it actually goes on. Okay, so I guess the top 10 were selected to be chiseled on a piece of stone, but in reality, that there's like many more of them. Somebody, I don't know if that's true, but somebody said there's like 600 or something. I'm not sure like where they got the number from, but there's definitely more than 10. Okay, and as far as, for example, slavery is concerned, look, guys, you just have to read the Bible. I mean, these people like clearly ignore what is inconvenient to them. And the Bible gives very clear instructions about who you can enslave, and they give you like very precise instructions how long they can stay your slave, how you can treat them. There's certain rules regarding marriage, and you can like pass them down to your children, etc., etc., etc. So all of that is in the book. Okay, we're not making that up. Like, atheists are not making that up. I think it's just you need to read the book. Look, I know that it's a long book, okay? It's like over 1,000 pages. Nobody's gonna read that. Let's be honest. Nobody's gonna read that. It just takes too long. And it's boring. It's one of the most boring books I've ever read, maybe even the most boring, because there are certain parts in there. It just goes on and on about. It's basically listing. It's making an inventory. Oh, you need to gather like 50 cows and 10 oxen and blah 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 blah. It just keeps going on and on and on and on for like pages and pages of that crap, which is completely irrelevant. It's just fluff. It's just there to make up numbers, to make the book bigger. So nobody's gonna read that shit. And yeah, like I said, they cherry pick. They only pick the parts that they like, you know? So this next person is kind of same idea. He says, "You don't know what Christianity is," and I replied to that. I know it's nobody's gonna reply to that because it's already 2 days old. You know, people only reply if it's like in the moment. But I did post that I smell a new no true Scotsman argument here. It's like, well, I'm not like that, but okay, that's cool, great, but you're not like representative of the masses, I'm sure. So yeah, the others I haven't read actually. I don't prepare this, guys. I don't. I really don't prepare. So yeah, it seems all atheists are struggling with the law to love your neighbor. Again, this is just nonsense. This is what we just saw above. And look, this is like it's actually good that this comment is here because I can finally say this. Look, a lot of theists they think they're original or something. They always think that they came up with a kind of gotcha or something like that. That nobody said this. Nobody said something before they said that. In reality, though, they're repetitive as shit, and they all say the same bullshit over and over again. And that's why I'm tired of talking to them because I've heard this thing like a million times. And when it's 1 million and first time, I'm like, this is not new. This is not original. I've heard that before. We've all heard that before. It's really nothing spectacular. So, yeah, again, it's just cherry picking. Oh, the Bible says, love your neighbor. And I'm going to just ignore everything else, but I'm going to just choose that one thing. And that's going to be enough, good enough for me. Guys, this is just ridiculous. I mean, this is childish, you know? This is just childish. There are some atheists here who comment, but I'm not going to really read those because, they actually make sense. This one is strange. Why does it say that? Probably because you have no foundation to stand to say why those things are bad. Ah, okay, now I get it. Okay, so it's about kind of the sense of morality and ethics. I see. Um, so this is again kind of a classic thing that theists love to say. It's like, well, without the Bible, we would have no morality and no sense of ethics and stuff like that. Bullshit. We like before the Bible, people had morality and a sense of ethics. Um, many, yeah, just before Christianity in general. It's not like the world was completely rotten and everybody was just going around and murdering each other. It was not like that. And why? Well, because people had a sense of morality. People knew that if they eradicate each other, that's not good for their race. They they can't continue to exist. So obviously, it's not in your best interest to go around and do genocides. So basically what the Christians are saying is that, okay, without the Bible, without, my religion, I don't have a sense of morality. I don't have morality actually at all. And I don't have like a sense of ethics or whatever. Now, if that's the case, you're a really scary individual and you need to stay the fuck away from me. Because if you can't figure out by yourself what is good and bad, if you don't like intuitively figure that out, something is really not right with you. And you need to get some kind of intervention or something because this is not normal. This is just not normal. Look, guys, when I was growing up, and I actually want to write an article about it, so I'm not gonna go into too much depth here. The article would be about how I grew up and my experience with religion, and how I got to the point I am today. Because I'm 41 now, and obviously I've kind of went through like a big chunk of the journey already, right? So I wanted to kind of write about that and explain to people like how I got where I am today, right? But even as a kid, I didn't have a problem like differentiating between good and bad. A lot of the time, it's based on the idea of pain, right? Like you don't like pain, so you don't want to go around and like punch people and kick them, etc., etc. You don't want to cause pain to other people because you know it's bad. It's bad for you, it's bad for others. Pretty simple, isn't it? Why you need some kind of book to guide you to tell you that? I'm not sure. That just seems very bizarre to me. And yeah, the first my when I was younger, my parents used to read me books sometimes at night. Well, not at night, but like in the evening. You know what I mean. And I just remember like a few of them. For example, the Martian Chronicles by Bradbury. Um, Obviously, that's sci-fi. Kind of, I would say maybe somewhat realistic sci-fi because we're actually we went to the moon and we'll go to Mars at some point in the future. And then I think like sometime after that, I don't know why, but I think it was my mom, and she read me the story about Jonah and the whale, and the whole thing is just ridiculous, okay? But I never took that story seriously. I mean, not even like 1% of it. And to me, it was just a fable, it's just like complete fiction. Like, what is this? But it's even worse than that because it's not just fiction, but it's also very bad fiction, and it's very childish fiction. Let's be honest there. When you go from Bradbury, who is trying to make a point about society and people, people psychology, and then you go to Jonah and the Whale, and it feels like just what the hell did I just listen to? What is this? It's some childish babble. Like who takes it seriously? But apparently, I mean, maybe not that particular story, but the book in general, apparently, like billions of people take it seriously. So, okay. I hope you separate the Bible from what people swearing by it did. Read for yourself in depth, pray. Okay. Well, here's what I think. Well, obviously not everybody who follows the Bible or um let's say makes appeals to the Bible is not necessarily a bad person. There are, there are some Christians who are absolutely cool with gay people, etc. So, it really kind of depends what flavor of Christian you are. But let's not pretend here that the Bible is not a collection of very bad ideas. I mean, yeah, sure, there's some good stuff, I guess, sprinkled here and there, but let's not pretend that there's a lot of really, it's not just bad things, but really vile things in there. So, and people follow it, like at the end of the day, some people anyway, and because of that, they beliefs inform actions, guys. So what they believe, they act on it later, right? So that's never good. I love the ending though because it says read for yourself in depth. This is another thing that Christians love to say. Read the Bible. Do you really think that we haven't? Do you really believe that atheists have not read the Bible? Do you know why we're atheists in the first place? Can you guess? Can you take a guess? Can you take a wild guess? No? Doesn't nothing comes to your mind? Well, maybe it's because we fucking read the books and we figured out that wow, this is like a bunch of bullshit. So this is absolutely not convincing. It's not convincing evidence. So that's why we don't believe. So we did read it and finally pray. Yeah, well, you pray. Let's see how that goes. Let's see here. What else we got here? Ah, this is another one I love. Okay, so you never had to defend it in the first place. What you want to have faith in is up to you, not others. But if you're that thirsty for other people's approval, you weren't really a Christian in the first place, were you? Well, this is not a classic thing that Christians say about former Christians. So she's obviously like a former, I forgot, she said on the show many times, but um, I kind of forgot what she said, but I think it was some kind of Christian denomination, I believe. Uh, so she went through all of this. Okay, she's not like she's been in Christianity for many, many, many years. Okay, and but this is what Christians love to say about the people who leave the faith. They're like, ah, well, you weren't a real Christian. Very smart, very smart. And in fact, there's another one. Tell me that you were a false Christian and did not understand the Bible in one sentence. See, so that's what I mean. It is not only just repetitive ideas. It's even like people kind of repeating themselves in the same like post many, many times. And it's always the same. That's why I said like I'm fucking bored talking to religious people because it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. Look, guys, I'm gonna end theism right now, just in one kind of idea. Can you demonstrably prove God? Now, as far as I know, and from all I listened online, from debates for like 20, 30 years at least, well, look, I'm not that old, so I don't know about older than that. But from what everything I listened so far, I've never heard one convincing argument for the existence of God. Not one. So until somebody comes up with one, I'm not interested in listening to you. I'm just not. This is fluff. This is babble. You can speculate all you want. You can I'm not interested in speculation though. I'm interested in facts. So do you have demonstrable evidence that your God exists? If the answer is no, and usually the answer is no, or the answer is yes, and then like a kind of incoherent babble follows, which again I'm not interested in because it's a bunch of crap, then I'm not interested. I'm just not interested. It's a waste of time. You're wasting everybody's time. Look, I know that you're probably convinced, and that's cool, but you convinced yourself for all the wrong reasons as well. So yeah. Um. Wow, this one is pretty long here. Let me see. If it's too long, I'm not gonna. I think like this one is pretty long, but I'm just gonna try to kind of skim read it very quickly. So, this uh well, it starts pretty badly because it says the Bible is often descriptive, not prescriptive. Well, I like that he put the word often in there because if he put always or just didn't put often there, I would just completely disagree with that. But look, guys, this is up to interpretation. The book is completely up to interpretation. And that's another problem with the Bible is that everybody can interpret it their way. And again, that's why we have, just in Christianity alone, about 40,000 different denominations, and they each claim to be the true one. But that's impossible because only one of them can be correct. So how do you know which one of these 40,000 is actually the right one? How do you determine that? How do you know that um, So if you're A, how do you know that B is wrong? How do you know that C is wrong? Maybe C is right and you're wrong. How would you know? How would you figure that out? I don't know. So then, they go again to kind of typical points here. So slavery, as we know it today, was not typically the slavery in the Bible. Well, actually, yeah, we know that. Why is he talking about that? But this is another thing that they say. It was more like indentured servitude. This is when we talk about slavery, this is a major dodge that Christians like to put out there. Well, again, that's just your interpretation, but I'm sorry to say you're wrong. The greatest miracle of the Old Testament was the Exodus, the freeing of the slaves from oppression and death. Okay, that is a myth. That did not happen. There is no evidence that there were Israeli citizens, like in huge numbers, being kept prisoners in Egypt. If there is evidence, please show me. But from everything that I've read and seen, I have not seen any. In fact, I've seen plenty of evidence that points to the opposite, that that never happened. Okay, so uh, okay, the next part is about genocide. Better for a people to die than they bring terror, death, and hate upon God's children for centuries. I do not claim to know the endgame, but you can clearly see the chaos that has because one time of not listening to a prophet. I don't even know what any of that means. By the way, interesting point. If you do believe in Exodus, if you do believe that actually happened, guess what the gang of Moses did when they got to well, Israel, let's say, right, to that land in around Israel. Guess what they did? Genocide. I'm not even kidding. So yeah, maybe it would have been best if they would have remained slaves then. In that case, maybe some people would not have died. Next part is about rape. Let me see here. Do not judge the past by the understanding of today. What? Different world, different time, and feminism wasn't there in the past. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, smart guy. So just because like feminism wasn't there, that means rape is okay. These people are nuts. I believed Christ was very clear when he said it would be better to string a millstone around your neck and jump into the sea than harm a child. Basically, it is better to die than to harm a child. That's how much it matters that children are not abused. And having worked with children who are abused, I assure you they are better off without that crap. But again, you find it more outside religion, some in, mostly out. Well, not if you're a Catholic. And also, Christ, we don't have any evidence Christ ever said anything. So when you said like he was very clear when he said something, that that's just made up. I mean, you cannot demonstrate that's the case. Um, but yeah, I think like that was a kind of a long. It was like a kind of old atheist experience show. I think it was with Tracy, if I'm not mistaken, and she said, if I see a child being abused, I will step in, and that makes me better than your God because your God clearly doesn't do dick shit about that. He just observes, like, which is absolutely useless. And then it's funny because, well, it's really sad actually that a lot of Christians rationalize this by saying that, well, yeah, the child was abused or whatever, but that's all part of God's plan. Wow. Well, you have a way to rationalize everything, don't you? You have like a get out of jail card for every situation. It's very convenient. But if you think about it though, it's really freaking immoral what you advocate for. There's another comment up there. You never read it then, so this, it kind of repeats from what we just covered above. You never had to defend it. It's a book written by man. Well, that's true. I definitely agree with that. That I can't disagree with. It's definitely 100% a book written by man. That's for sure. You're supposed to use your personal relationship with God to help you discern what is right from wrong with the information it provides, and that's it. You can't make appeals to the supernatural. That's a logical fallacy. Everybody, everybody who believes, everybody who believes in the Christian God claims to have a relationship with that God. Yet, the relationship is always different. It's not the same experience. Everybody has a different experience. And that leads to, again, everybody having their kind of own little version of Christianity. That's what I said. Like, it's not just a book that is open to interpretation, but it's the whole kind of process that is open to interpretation. This person, that's really weird. Like, this person says, how many abortions have you had? What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything? It's really weird. Shows how little of the Bible you have actually read. No understanding of what it is trying to convey then or now. Ah, guys, just stop. Because, like, the people who say that, I know that they haven't read it. Uh, they go to the church probably like every Sunday, and they sit down and they listen to a priest or a preacher read very select passages. They select passages on purpose because obviously they don't want to talk about the passages that are problematic. They want to talk about only the good stuff. And even like if it's kind of getting into the bad stuff, they always find a way to rationalize it and make it look good. Well, it's God's plan, actually. This was necessary. They will always find a reason for everything. But it's all nonsense, though. It's all nonsense. They're just obfuscating the truth. That's all they're doing. They're just liars. Wow, if that's all you got out of reading the Bible, you skipped all the beatitudes. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure that's a real word, but okay. All the love and forgiveness, all the peace and grace that's there. Well, some of it is there. I'm not going to disagree, but you can't cherry pick. Like who are you to cherry pick the Bible? How do you know which parts you're actually supposed to kind of ignore and which parts you're supposed to follow? How did you determine that? I thought you're supposed to follow the whole thing, but obviously you don't do that. Okay, so then again, you have your own kind of little cult going on here, you know? But you apparently have to hold on to your understandable resentments concerning the culture in which you were raised. I hope that your life can be free of pain. Well, I can tell you that, of course, the people who left the faith, they do have some resentments usually. I mean, that's pretty natural, I would assume. But most of the time, that's not why they left the faith. Most of the time, it's just because it doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't make any sense to believe this nonsense. And that's why they leave. Of course, there are some resentments, of course. Sure. But the number one thing is that it just doesn't hold up. That's all. It just doesn't hold up to scrutiny. Probably gonna finish with this one. Like I said, she posts videos quite often, so I might do these kind of clips from time to time as well. I have a lot of material here to work with. I'm just gonna finish with the top one here. I don't think this I think it's probably yeah, it's from probably from an atheist here. Christians have always been on both sides of everything, starting from arguing about how Christ actually saves us, how he's a God, modes of baptism, the Trinity, circumcision, church ritual, place of women, slavery, etc. for 2,000 years. Now, this is definitely true. This is definitely true. like I said, they always have a kind of get out of jail card for everything. They always have an excuse for everything. They never want to take responsibility, and they never want to admit that the book is just extremely problematic. It's written by man, it's very problematic, and there's actually not a good reason to follow it, but they follow it anyway. So that baffles my mind. But it's true though. I mean, like, I listen to a lot of Coles, right? And even like when we talk about Jesus and God, there's already a lot of kind of disagreements there, because some people say like, well, no, Jesus is the Son of God. Okay, but then like other people say like Jesus is God, but it can't be both at the same time. So you see, that's what I mean. Like, but it's so unclear, it's so ambiguous, it's so vague that nobody knows what they're talking about. And it's just like one gigantic mess that honestly people are just wasting time trying to untangle. Uh, that time could be much better spent on more practical things and things that you can actually apply in the real world, instead of magical thinking, and appeals to the supernatural. But that's just me. So I don't know. That's just the way that I live, and it works for me. So, all right, guys, that's going to be it for today. Like I said, there's like these videos kind of come up very often. So, and now I have a way to capture. I remembered how to capture my phone screen. So, yeah, I might do these from time to time. If you enjoy them, let me know in the comments. If you have some kind of comments or requests or anything, just drop a comment. I'll see what I can do. Um, Again, I'm not, speaking for all atheists. Atheists is a very big tent, and people have a wide range of opinions. It's just like we generally agree that okay, we don't agree on the God claims, okay, but every other issue is very open usually. So I'm definitely not claiming to represent every atheist. I'm just myself, and these are my opinions. So, yeah. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.